Oh my God, there are calipers on the car. It's done, it's look. Ah! Be a good girl. What I've got is party time light show. Oh, please just work. Hello everyone and welcome back to Motorhaus, and you join me in the continuing, seemingly never-ending saga of trying to get my cheap Porsche 911 996 back on the road. When will the pain end? If today goes well, I'm going to have a running driving 911. Talking of which, let's go over to the whiteboard. So as I explained in the last episode, we were having problems with the fact that the old handbrake tubes had seized into the hub. I had to grind out the hub to clear out the remains of the old tube. However, it had gone slightly oval, slightly oversized, meaning that the handbrake tubes were no longer a snug fit in there. So we were proposing some kind of sleeving system. What we've actually done is a double method. So we've done an initial sleeve just here, but what we've also done is at this end you have the handbrake cable, and that's on a little bit of a flange. And what we've actually also done is put an additional outer sleeve that goes all the way back up to the hub, and that then does a double reinforcement. It stops this tube going into the hub, and it also means that as you apply tension on the handbrake cable, it pushes up against the back of the hub and holds it still, with the great effect that now I've got a completely working handbrake on the car again, which is brilliant. So in the last episode, you will have known that I was having real problems getting the handbrake mechanism all working properly, and it was down to these things, the handbrake tubes. Now, that there, you might recognise that green as being the same green as a Brabantia clothes prop. That's because that's exactly what it is. The first thing that we're going to do next is you'll see the rear brake calipers themselves aren't actually fitted onto the car at the moment, so that's going to be the next job to do. You may recall in a previous episode where I showed you that the brake calipers are held on by two large bolts. These large bolts, in actual fact. Now, I've just checked the workshop manual, and there's an interesting note in there which says to replace these for new caliper bolts. Now, I was trying to figure that out. These aren't stretch bolts. There is hardware which is stretch bolts, which is where for the final tightening they are designed to stretch, in which case you do need to physically replace the hardware. But these don't have that. They don't have the additional angle torque value, so I'm thinking, why would these need to be replaced? And I think the clue is the slightly greenish tinge on the bolt. Hopefully you can see that. That's usually an indication that there's some kind of thread locking compound on these from new to stop them backing out. What I'm going to do is I am going to reuse these bolts, but I'm going to just put a few drops of thread lock on there just to make sure these aren't going to come out. Honestly, I'd probably be absolutely fine to assemble them dry, but we'll use some thread lock. That works for my presence of mind. So consulting the manual, I'm told that brake caliper to wheel carrier needs to be torqued to 63 foot-pounds. Now, unfortunately, I've left my torque wrench at home, which means I have to resort to ye oldie torque wrench of myth and lore. This is Dad's torque wrench. Yep. I think the scale on this thing can be found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. I'll not forget to bring my torque wrench the next time. Oh my God, there are calipers on the car. It's done. It's look. Ah! I'm sorry. I know this is way too much of an overreaction for having parts back on a car, but the graft that has been involved in getting to this point, yikes. So this is why I'm excited, because now I could put the wheels back on the car, and she can actually go on her own wheels for the first time in days. Let's do it. Have you ever looked in your car's tool roll and wondered what this is for? Have you ever looked at that and gone, what on earth is that for? Well, fear not, avid viewers of Motorhaus, because I have the answer. So, cars like this, and a lot of German cars, a lot of VAG group cars are like this, use wheel bolts. Now that means that you have to lift that wheel up, try and get it on the hub, and then put a bolt through. Now when you've got a wheel like this, that could be quite a lot of weight to work with. So what you do is, rather than struggling away trying to lift the wheel in place, this threads in to the hub and it gives you a spigot to lift the wheel onto, and it'll help you line it up. It really does help massively. So there you go, the mystery of the strange thing in your toolkit solved on Motorhaus. Boom! And like that, the wheels are back on the car. And talking of wheels, answer me this: is there a better looking OEM wheel design than Porsche twists? I think on any 90s Porsche in particular, they are just such a great looking wheel design. They really suit the car. At this point, ordinarily, I'd be thinking about let's get the car back down on the ground. However, I've spotted something that's a little bit of a concern. And can you see what I see? All this pink, watery, leaky coolant type stuff on the round of upgrades, maintenance I did a couple of years back. Car had a new thermostat and water pump, so this was all off. I also noticed that when the car had been stood for a while, that my header tank level was going down. I feared the worst. I genuinely reckon it's probably just leaky coolant pipe, leaky clip. I have tidied this up as best as I can, cleaned it up, dried it down. I've added an additional Jubilee clip at this end because the end of the hose was flared a bit. So there's now two here, making sure that that will seal. This was very wet around here. My concern was that maybe this hose might have developed a pinhole. However, I slackened the clip off. You'll see there's some water around here. I think this is residual. Slackened the clip off, and actually the first leak was just coming from the end of the hose. So I'm hoping that this just wasn't done up tight enough. If this hasn't fixed it, then what I'm going to have to do is order a new hose, I reckon, drain all the coolant, and make sure that everything here is as good as it can be. There is, of course, also a chance that the gasket on here may have started to leak. I think there's a gasket here anyway. I can't remember having done it, but look, I've tightened it up for now. We'll have a look. I'll keep an eye on this, keep an eye on the coolant level, make sure everything's okay. If it isn't, well, this is a job for another day. With the coolant leak seemingly fixed and the wheels back on the car, it was time to remove the axle stands and finally get her back on all four wheels for the first time in weeks. Well, now the time has come. Get in the car, turn the key, see if she'll move. Very exciting. Turning the key. Oh. Okay. That's odd. Everything's dead, Jim. Yeah, so this is a bit of a surprise. Yeah, key, ignition, and right. That's a bit of an anticlimax. Okay. Right, battery is in the frunk on a 996. I just happen to have my travel multimeter with me in the front of the car. So, which is working. Let's see what we've got. Oh, okay. Wow, that is flat. After half an hour on a battery charger, it was time to turn the key again. All right, come on, girl. Oh, we've got dash lights. Come on. Fingers crossed. Ah! Clearly, I needed a bit more juice to kick the engine back into life. So, grabbing a spare battery and jumping the main battery with some jump leads, it's time to try once more. Right, come on, lovely, come on. Be a good girl. Yeah! Whoop, whoop. And we got oil pressure. Yes! Oh yeah, she sounds sweet. All right, let's have another go. And we're moving. We're moving. Oh yeah, we're moving. Whoop whoop. Hello, lovely. Missed you. Oh! Finally! Finally! Oh, what a feel-good moment that is. Crikey me. Hearing that engine running again, getting her moving on her own wheels. There's something about project cars that's been a constant for me, is that when they're just sat there as an inert lump of tin and rubber, it could be a little bit difficult keeping the spark going, keeping the fire alive. The minute you hear an engine run, the minute they start to move a bit, they come alive, and that for me is when things start sparking. I'm happy. I am a happy man. Let's nip over to the whiteboard, see where we're at with things, and then let's have a detailed look at what needs to be done. Right then, quick recap. Wiper blades done, horn is done, handbrake cables and guides done, handbrake shoes done, exhaust tips done, wheel arch liners front bumper swap. Right, let's have a quick chat about those. So I was a little bit concerned that these wheel arch liners had been damaged. So as you can see is that unfortunately when the front bumper got ripped off, the wheel arch liner was dragging on the wheel and wore through. That I don't think is going to be an MOT failure, provided that it is properly secured. The driver's side is absolutely fine. I can get another wheel arch liner, which I will do. I will pick a spare one up and change this and repair this. But for now, as I just want to get this car back on the road, that can stay where it is. So, wheel arch liners. Have we done it? We haven't, but I'll put an X next to it, meaning that we're going to come back to it. Let's have a look into front bumper swap a bit more. So over on the driver's side, you'll see there's this support bracket underneath the headlight. This, I think, basically acts as a guide runner for putting the headlights back in, which I will explain shortly. Now, if you come over to the passenger side, you will see that there is the broken remains of where the bracket was there, and the bracket itself is just, it's completely missing. But fear not, because I have a solution. Let's talk about salvage parts. What is a salvage part? Well, a salvage part, as the name implies, is a second-hand used part that's been salvaged from an end-of-life vehicle, whether that's because the car's been involved in an accident, or maybe there's severe terminal rot, damage to the rest of the car, and it's been broken apart for spares. Now, salvage parts, like this headlight bracket that I've managed to pick up, can be a really good way of saving money. Also, another nice thing about salvage parts is that generally they are original manufacturer parts, because that's how the car was built in the first place. So let's take this headlight bracket as a classic example. New from Porsche, this would be probably somewhere around £50. I got this salvage one delivered for just under 20. And that for me is a really smart buy, because not only is it less than half the price, but it's only a plastic bracket. This is not a safety critical item. It's not degraded in any way, shape or form. So it's a really good, smart buy. Now, what salvage parts wouldn't I buy? Well, despite the fact that I fitted effectively salvage brake discs on this car in the last episode, I wouldn't necessarily buy salvage brake discs. I might buy salvage calipers. That could be a good example. Generally, safety critical items, I probably would err on the side of caution when it comes to salvage. But really good examples: headlights, body panels, electrical items perhaps. For example, on a 996 like this, the headlight switch is hugely expensive new, so buying salvage switchgear can be a really good way of saving money. If you need parts for an older car like this, it can be a really smart idea to price up brand new genuine replacements, OEM aftermarket replacements, and then have a look at a salvage part. Weigh up which one's best value for money. In this case, salvage is the way to go. So taking a look at how this this bracket here is going to fit, it's going to sort of fit a little bit like that. Yeah, a little bit like that. However, I think it's going to be a bit difficult to do with the headlight in place. So I'm going to show you one of the 996's party tricks. The 996 911 generation Porsche for years was derided because of the so-called runny egg headlights. This was a conscious decision by the car's designer, Pinky Lie, to integrate the headlight, fog light and indicator units all as one unit. And the reason for that is that they were trying to make the manufacture of the car much more efficient. So if they could put the whole lot in on the production line in, I think they said that they had a time frame of about 30 seconds to fit the entire front lighting assembly in a car on the production line, then having it all in one enclosed unit made that a lot easier. Now, that also has benefit when you are trying to service this or remove it yourself. So in your 996 or indeed your 986 box to toolkit, you'll find this little Allen key here, this little wrench. And what happens is if you undo this bit of carpet here, there is a little access hole in the side. All right, so there is meant to be a bung here, but this apparently is the unlatch. There we go. We turn this, can't remember which direction it is, but one of these is, right, I think that's now unlocked. What I like to use is a sucker pad. This is one of my GoPro mounts. So if I attach this onto here, I should be able to. There we go, look at that. And the entire headlight comes out. That's pretty neat, right? Well, that was, frankly, absurdly simple. There's just one small nut there that needed removing, and then that bar there just clipped in. So, headlight in, and that's a job jobbed. So this is the front bumper that I'm going to use as a replacement. Now, the more observant of you may have noticed that this is black and my car is dark blue. Yeah, this is the best I could get for a reasonable price. But it is a clean bumper, and also it is a genuine Porsche bumper as well. So this should fit absolutely perfectly because it is the real deal. Now, there's a couple of potential issues with this. Firstly, it's missing the inset air duct, but I have that off the bumper that got broken. Also, I have noticed it's missing the little side skirts here. Not too concerned about that for now. I can source those. It's not going to stop me fitting it on the car. However, I have noticed something interesting that perhaps indicates that this car has had more than one bumper in the past. So this is the reverse of the air duct that needs to go on, and something caught my attention. There's some white marker paint letters there. Not entirely sure what that indicates. I know it seems to say low. However, where else have I seen marker paint used on parts before? This salvage part that I've just fitted. So does that mean that this was once a salvage part as well? Does it mean that this car has had numerous little nose jobs in the past? Who knows? But you know, old cars, you never really know the history of them, do you? This is proving to be a much more unpleasant job than I anticipated. Right, so you've got the insert to the bumper, right? And there's all these little clip tabs that clip in there. The problem you have is that this is only very slightly flexible and the bumper is very flexible. So it's very easy just to get the bottom tabs engaged, and the top ones will not go in no matter what you try. So I've had to unclip this a couple of times and start afresh, and I've just managed to get this side in. The trick, it seems to appear to work from one side at a time and do an upper clip and a bottom clip, work around, upper clip, bottom clip, work around. You get the idea. So I've got everything up to about there done so far, and I'm going to keep working around and try and get this insert fitted. It's not the most fun job. All right, we're in business. It is fitted. There we go. There we go. That's all fitted nicely. Now, quick nerd point. You'll see that this centre section here is blanked off. That is correct for a manual Carrera 2. Now, I can't remember if it's specifically a C4 or a Tiptronic thing, but there's an additional oil cooler there. If it isn't a C2 manual, which obviously my car is. Also, that is also open now on a GT3 because I think it's got an engine oil cooler there. However, the correct one for my car is like this. So that's why I saved that insert off my other old damaged bumper. All right, so we have a bumper that theoretically is about ready to go on. One thing you'll notice is the number plate plinth isn't on at the moment. I've misplaced that. I think it's in my garage at home. I really hope it is anyway. However, that's fairly easy to fit. There's a couple of little plastic inserts that go in there. Not bad, not bad. We'll go with that, not bad. I then set to trying to fit the front bumper back on the car by myself. I tried, and I tried, and I tried, and I tried. For well over an hour. I removed both headlights in some kind of vain attempt to try and help. I tried every trick I could and eventually came to the inescapable conclusion that I would just need an extra pair of hands to help refit the bumper. However, after removing both headlights, I discovered something that could point to an interesting episode in my car's past. Do you remember when I mentioned that I thought that maybe this car might have had a little bit of a prang in the past? Well, if you have a look inside this wing look, you'll see that that's all factory. Yeah, it's dirty and it's old, but that's all factory. However, take a look on this side. Yeah, look, there's a little bit of a crease just there, and well, it looks to me to be unmistakably filler shaped through there. I'm not quite sure why there'd be filler on the inside. That's a little bit concerning. Maybe I ought to get a magnet to the outside of here and see what's going on. But yeah, I mean, surprise, surprise, a 27-year-old car that's lived in London might have had a few little gentle love taps on occasion, let's put it that way. Anyway, I'm really tired. I'm calling it a night. I've put the battery on charge overnight. I'll be back in a day or two.
The next day.
Ladies, gentlemen, everybody, there is a front end back on the car. Now, yeah, I know it's the wrong colour, and I know it's a bit scruffy, but I'm going to tell you, just even with her covered in dirt, and just sat there catching the light like that, ooh, that's my 911, that is. And yes, I know she's scruffy, but that's still my 911, and she looked great. So, MOT is booked for tomorrow morning. So, going round the process of sorting the car out. I should point out, by the way, that I didn't manage to get this bumper on myself. Dad's just given me a massive help with that. It's probably taken us the thick end of an hour, but it is on, it is secure. So, pre-MOT checks, the simplest of things can compromise you getting a pass, like lights being out, this, that and the other. Now, we've just gone around and done some lighting checks, and we have found that the fog light on this side and at the front aren't working. Now, a nice thing is these whole light units are super easy to remove. Look, that just comes out, There's literally one 10mm bolt that holds the whole thing in. So first thing is we're going to check the bulb itself. Obvious first thing to check. Then we'll probably get a multimeter on if it isn't the bulb, see what's going on there. Just work through it. Fingers crossed it's only going to be minor stuff, I hope. Right, you've done a quick test of the lamp, Dad. What's the score?
The lamp is okay.
Oh, I mean, great news, but also not so good.
Not so
right,
good. No.
Not so good.
We'll
right.
try it in and
let's have a quick go, shall we? All right.
Yeah,
so
I've got the lamp holder here.
Okay. Let's have some ignition.
In.
Bit of fog lights. What's the news?
That one's working. This one isn't.
Oh, all right. Multimeter.
Yeah.
Right, so if you think about it, in the process of trying to get this car an MOT, I've had numerous electrical type issues, only minor stuff, but all of these would be an instant MOT fail, wouldn't they? All of them.
Yeah, most certainly.
Right, what have we got at the socket?
Zilch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Right, I'll go in the car and have a look at fuses then. Right, I've had a quick look at the fuse chart. It would appear that both rear fog lights share the same fuse. Now, considering that the fog light on the driver's side is working, it cannot be a fuse that's blown. So we're going to have a quick look at the front fog light and see if the lamp in that is blown or not working. If the front fog light is also intact, then we might have a problem with the headlight switch itself, which would suck. Okay, process of deduction. What we have done is popped both rear light units out, as you can see, and we're going to try swapping the left-hand one over to the connector on the right-hand side and see if the fog light comes on. Ah, oh dear, which means it's a wiring issue. Right, things have, as they have a habit of doing with old cars, escalated rather rapidly. We've had the passenger side headlight unit out, tested the fog light at the front here, that also is fine. So it's pointing towards electrical wiring problems elsewhere, and we're just looking at the wiring diagram now, trying to find out what the problem is. My money is on a faulty headlight switch, but it may not be as simple as that. Thankfully, having broken a 996 for parts a couple of years back, I had a small stash of spares, so I rushed back to my house, headed into the loft, and... here we go. Switch gear and sensors. Boom, boom, boom. Found the box. What we got in here? Oh, blood me neck. 3 switches. 2, 3. Right. I think I'm actually just going to take the whole damn box across. Boom.
20 minutes later.
Alright, I'm back. I've got my big, wonderful box full of switch gear and actually the head unit and everything to put back in the car, but you've discovered something else really weird, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
If you put the front fog lights on...
Alright, hang on. So, ignition's on. So, I'll do that, and then pull once. That's front fogs.
The left-hand indicators stop working.
Yeah. And now if I switch it off... What's going on, Dad?
I don't know.
What's going on?
I just don't know.
So, Dad has suggested removing the entire front headlight unit. So, yeah, that is now out of the car. What's your thoughts in case there's something odd happening internally in the headlight unit or something?
Bad earth rings comes to mind.
Yeah.
Bad earth.
All right.
Maybe.
Let's try again, shall we? Okay, indicator is working but flashing fast, but
Yep.
you'd expect that because there's no load. Right, across. Pull it out one. And it's still going.
Pull it out too and see if we've got rear.
Pulled it out twice.
No, we've still only got one rear fog lamp.
Okay, but the indicator is now running. Oh, this is weird.
It is.
Things are escalating quickly. I've taken all the corner trim off the car, which is where the headlight switch fits. Had a quick look in the box and, well, trip down memory lane. Obviously labelled this. Good Persephone. This is the headlight switch off my written off 911, which was working at the time, I believe, absolutely perfectly. So let's whack this in and see what happens. Right, we've noted something interesting. So what's happening at the front, Dad?
Well, we've got an indicator lamp on and a fog lamp. And if you turn the fog lamp off, the indicator's gone out.
Right, so if I turn the fogs on again, and is the indicator coming on?
Yeah.
Right, so what's the prognosis? What do you reckon?
Would you work the indicator stalk for me, please?
Yeah. And I've got no left-hand indicator.
Yep.
Right is working.
And the left's still on. So to me, it's a faulty earth somewhere.
All right. It's always the answer, isn't it? There's electrical problems with the car. What's the answer? Bad earth.
Faulty earth. So let me have a look at the back.
Yeah.
To see whether the indicator's glowing at the rear, which
All right,
it
well, hop
probably
round.
is.
Give me a shout.
Let's
Right.
have a quick look.
You're on Dad Cam now, viewers. Does it get any better? Wow. Right. Tell me what you want.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can see
Yeah?
that the indicator lamp is glowing. Not very brightly, but it's glowing.
Right.
Okay.
And I've got no left indicator. Do you want me to put the rear fog on?
You can try.
That's rear fog.
Yeah, it's working on the right-hand side,
Yeah, and...
but not
yeah, and I've got a
on the
right-hand
left.
indicator, but... Okay, all right.
Okay.
Right, so Dad's had a quick look at the front headlight unit, which we think there might be something there, but how did you describe it, Dad? It's complex.
Oh, yeah. Irreparable.
Sir Trummans have designed the headlight unit beautifully, actually, but it's old.
And thereby hangs the problem.
And thereby hangs the problem, bless her. However, I have checked online on the gov.uk website regarding legalities. The goal is get this car an MOT tomorrow morning. And what I found is that cars registered, I think it's before 2018, front fog lights are not a testable item. So we're going to go with, we don't care that one isn't working because they're not going to be tested anyway. And then around the rear, apparently there only needs to be one working fog light, which either needs to be central to the car or offset, which we've got one. So bearing in mind that it's now afternoon Thursday and the MOT test is Friday morning, I think we're going with, yeah, electrically it's good enough to pass an MOT test, and we'll figure out what's wrong at another time. Or alternatively, we won't call it a day because what I've got is party time light show. Yeah, let's get some indicator party time disco party. Disco party, disco party. Oh, please just work. To my, well, I shouldn't be astonished, not to my astonishment, because I've got Electrical Meister Dad on the case. You fixed it, Dad. Another car succumbs.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! Yeah, everything she's working. Just whack the hazards on for me a minute. Let's just make sure that everything's working. Got that. Oh yeah.
Check it out.
We're in business. We're in business. So, for the benefit of those viewing at home, what have you just done?
Well, first of all, we took the headlamp unit out, took it to pieces, found out which were the ground pins. There are 8 pins on the connector.
Yeah.
Found out which were the ground pins, then checked out to make sure there was continuity from the socket at the back.
Yeah, because there's a mating socket in the chassis, isn't there? So the headlight goes ka-chunk into a socket that's hard mounted.
And there was good continuity there. Less than 0.1 of an ohm, so I was happy with that.
Yeah.
So I concluded that the fault must be within the headlamp unit, and so it is. So we've cleaned the connectors up. Yeah, we changed the side lamp bulb because it was blackened, but that was nothing to do with the fault. There was one of the headlamp bulbs floating about,
Yeah, insofar as it wasn't actually clipped down, wasn't it? Which might be it.
Yeah, but we've cleaned all the contacts, made sure they were clean, tightened everything up, put it back in, bingo.
I know, look at that. So we've gone through a new headlight switch, a box of bulbs, electrical tester, contact cleaner.
Ta-da!
How long do you think it's taken us to sort that out?
A couple of hours.
Good fun, isn't it? Just as we're celebrating, always the one you forget, number plate lights are not working. Now, I've got a confession to dare when I say this. I soldered the bulbs onto the wires to get it through its last MOT. Because the original bulb holders had disintegrated.
They do.
So I'll whip them out, shall we, and we'll see what the carnage is. Oh, yikes. That had come out of there, and all the plastic is old and brittle and disintegrated, which I found the previous time to try and fix this, so I soldered straight on, but that's failed. Ugh. Right, this is a problem that I kind of knew about in the back of my head, and I've ignored for a while, and quite often what happens is when you ignore problems, they come back and bite you on the arse. These are the remains of the number plate holders that hold these little things, which are known as festoon bulbs. It's a good word, isn't it? A festoon bulb. Again, with it being old, all the plastics inside have gone brittle and hard. I am going to bodge both of them in the exact same way again. However, what I'm going to really try and do this time is, in the next year, is find some light units that will fit in the bumper that are more modern, have got a nice multi-connector on, have got a better fitting, maybe even change them for LEDs to take the heat out, because what's happened is the heat has made all the plastic brittle. Oh yeah, they're there. They're just really dim in the daylight, but they're there. Yeah, we got lights. Finally. After weeks of working away on the car, she was finally MOT ready. And with an MOT booked the following day, nothing could go wrong at this stage, surely. Tune in next time on Motorhaus to find out.